You are doing MCOM?
Yes.
And you are a product of Ramdas College. I am also a product of Ramdas College. So, MCOM is still going on? Or
Yes, sir. I am in my final year of MCOM.
When will the results be out?
Sir, 2019 June.
You are a commerce student, isn't it?
Yes.
You did internship, some kind of internship in Gurgaon.
Yes.
What was that?
Sir, I was a direct tax trainee in a firm called BMR Advisors. I was working on a project on equalization levy during the 2 months I was there at BMR. So, apart from this specific project on BMR on equalization levy, was also involved in certain other aspects.
So, after having studied BCom and then MCom, what was your motive?
Of taking up MCom, sir. Sir,
you wanted to do PhD?
No. No, sir, I did not think about, I have not still thought about PhD, given I still have a semester left at D school, sir. Sir, I was always inclined towards civil services, and I thought having an in-depth understanding of the subject which MCom has given me would have helped me in my civil services preparation also, and I think it has, sir. So that was the initial motivation.
But why did you not go in for chartered accountancy?
So, like I said, chartered accountancy is a long-run process. It takes 5-6 years to become a chartered accountant. And I wanted to pursue civil services when I was young. So this was a natural opportunity for me, and that is why I was not inclined to other avenues.
You have a very interesting hobby of exploring street food.
Yes, sir.
So, don't you know that street food or junk food, as we call it, is unhygienic. It's not good for health. It adds calories to your body, then you gain weight.
Yes, sir.
So, still you.
Sir, not all street food is junk. If we are a little careful with the choice of street food, sir, it is not junk. And besides, I always try and work on calorie deficit. Like if I've consumed certain amount of calories via street food.
So you keep a watch?
Yes, I keep a watch on the quantity as well as the quality of what I'm eating, sir. And with a little care about what one person is eating and from where he is eating, I think this calorie part at least can be well taken care of. So,
but street food means it's open.
Yes, sir.
It's not closed. It's all open, you know. So, can you consider it hygienic food?
Like I said, sir, if we are a little careful with what we are eating, then street food is not very harmful per se. And adding to that, I think I've also built my immunity over time. So, I normally don't end up with a lot of infections here and there. It's just about being a little careful and watchful with while we are having.
What kind of dishes do you enjoy?
Sir, like since I've been staying in Delhi, and Delhi has this predominantly Mughal street food culture, I have developed a liking towards Mughalai street food, sir. But
non-veg?
Yes, sir, I'm non-vegetarian. But
you go to Old Delhi or?
Yes, sir. Old Delhi, Nizamuddin. Also planning to visit Jamia in the next couple of days. So, but other than this, in some of my visits in South India, I also like South Indian street food. And like I said, food in South India, when we compare it to North Indian street food, it's more hygienic and it's also more nutritious and healthy.
And less calorific.
Less calorific also. So, we cannot label all of street food as junk, sir. We just have to be a little mindful of what we are eating.
Okay. So, do you recall something about what is that crisis? Satyam crisis?
Yes, sir.
Something to do with the audit thing?
Yes, sir.
By
yes,
specific firm?
Yes, sir. Recently, the audit firm PwC, it was barred by SEBI from from its audit practice for I think a period of 2 years, sir. And because it was one of the primary statutory auditors, it was back in the Satyam scam, sir. So SEBI has finally debarred it from audit practice for 2 years. Sir.
2 years. That time is over long back.
So I beg your pardon.
That time is over, no?
No, sir. I think it's
2 years. It took place in 2008 or 9.
No, sir. This debar I think has happened recently, sir. SEBI has debarred PwC only recently. While the scam took place in 2004 or 5, I think, sir. But this has happened recently only.
Who were responsible for this, apart from the CEO?
Sir, I fail to recall the names of the exact personnel involved.
Okay.
Sir, but there was also some allegation against the Chief Financial Officer of Satyam then, sir. When adding to these officials, there was also one company allegedly owned by a family member of Ramalinga Raju, who was involved in this scam. Like, it was the primary route through which the entire proceeds of the black money was channelized. Money laundering took place. So there was also a company owned by one of Raju's relatives. So these people were primarily accused in the scam.
So what was the role of the internal auditor?
Sir, internal audit is a very important function. It flagged issues basically, but I think internal audit failure was one of the major issues here. And after that, SEBI has become more proactive in laying down norms for internal audits. So even in the Companies Act, a lot of provisions have been laid down so as to.
There must have been norms earlier also.
Yes, sir, but the entire.
All cosmetic, this was done only to, please the public. Outrageous, their outrage.
But I think, sir, the internal audit back then was a little softer than the norms we have right now, sir.
And they report direct to the CEO.
Yes, sir. The internal audit, since it is not statutory, it reports to the manager.
PCI, we also did not do due diligence. Due diligence was not observed.
Yes, sir. That is why.
Pricewaterhouse.
Yes.
PwC.
Yes, sir. That is why the entire fallout has happened.
And finally, what is the role of the independent directors? There were two independent directors who were formerly secretaries and cabinet secretaries in the government of India.
Sir, independent directors are the gatekeepers of corporate governance. They have the responsibility of red flagging any issues. But here again, in this case, because of so much fudging of accounts and complicated transactions involved here, and because of the hegemony that Raju had personally on the board.
Hegemony or their own criminal negligence?
Sir,
or their professional incompetence?
Sir, I don't know the particulars of their involvement, sir. But what I can say here is that the entire transaction through which the scam happened was very complicated, sir. After which we've put in some safeguards. So I think after Satyam, considering we've improved corporate governance norms, sir, we've come a long way, sir.
No, it has been taken over.
Yes, sir. Tech Mahindra has taken over.
So, Priyank, you are doing M.Com and you are studying financial management also.
Yes, sir.
So, relating to this financial management, if I have to assess a company,
yes, sir.
For liquidity,
yes, sir.
I will assess first the liquidity then the debt part.
Yes, sir.
So, how do I do that?
Yes, sir. Sir, in the short term, we use liquidity ratios, which are mainly two. There is an asset test ratio, which considers the most liquid assets, sir. We also have a current asset ratio. While the liquidity, like the asset test ratio, the ideal ratio should be 1:1, saying if there are 100 liquid assets, then the current liability should be 100. The current asset ratio is 2:1, sir. So in the long term, if we need to assess the solvency,
Current asset ratio is
2:1. The ideal ratio of current ratio is 2:1, sir. Being current assets 2 and 1 for liability. Sir, if we further see, Then there are solvency ratios also. Solvency ratios, the most commonly used solvency ratio is debt equity ratio, which is again I think 2:1 is considered ideal, sir. Apart from debt equity ratio, we have some profitability ratios also, like return on assets, return on capital employed. Other than this, there are some activity ratios.
What are the ideal things for this return on assets?
Sir, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the exact ratio, sir. But that depends on the amount of investment, sir. It varies from one industry to another. The ideal industry-wise, sir. Okay. So I don't know the exact ratio, but these are primarily the most important ratios used, sir.
Okay. When I am supposing I want to invest in a company.
Yes, sir.
For example, I want to buy the shares.
Yes, sir.
So I have to do something more than this. I have to make a valuation of the company. How do I value? What is the thumb rule? Quick.
So there are different techniques. Like there is the asset test, sir. The total the assets, sir. And there's a market capitalization thing also. But
market capitalization is actually what is the share?
What is the share price? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. I am not able to recall the exact thing.
We take out what is the expected earning in the next 10 years.
Yes.
Bring out its present value.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir. I have.
That is the way most of the people assess the company.
Yes, sir.
This is the profit today. Industry is going at this rate, so it will also go at this rate, suppose.
Yes.
What is the expected profit next 10 years? Then take out the present value of those 10 years.
Yes, sir.
And divide by number of shares. It gives you a fair value of the share.
Yes, sir.
What should be the share price? Okay. Now talking of all this, we had a twin balance sheet problem. You know what is that twin balance sheet?
Yes, sir. So twin balance sheet problem refers to the stressed balance sheets of corporates as well as the banks, sir. So that is the twin balance sheet problem.
Could you elaborate?
Yes, sir. So like in the banks we see that there are a lot of non-performing assets wherein the principal or the interest has not been repaid. So as a result, because of the unpaid balances as well as the provisioning amount involved, their balances are stressed. So they are not in a position to advance capital. Whereas we see corporates, they are already leveraged with so much debt that they are not able to service these debts only. So as a result, they are not able to pick up new loans from the market, and the fallout of the twin balance sheet problem is that the growth rate, the credit growth rate has taken a beating, sir, and that has multifaceted impacts on the economy.
It is a deadlock.
Yes, sir. It is a trap, I could say, credit trap sort of.
We call it a deadlock because the corporate is waiting for more money to start.
Yes, sir.
Bank is waiting for a loan to be repaid.
Yes, sir.
So both are stuck up. Both waiting for each other to do something.
Yes.
So that deadlock, how to break it? Government has done something to break this deadlock.
Yes, sir. Sir, when we talk about resolution of bank balance sheets, sir, which is one of the problems, it has a 4R approach of recognition, resolution, reformation and recapitalization, sir. So there's been infusion of the tune of 2.1 lakh crores to supplant the bank balance sheet, sir. So that is primarily taken place, sir. Other than that, we've also seen some reformation with regard to the banks. After the PJ Nayak committee was set up, we've got a bank boards bureau which is looking after corporate appointments or board appointments of the banks. So both reformation and recapitalization has taken place of the banks, sir. And RBI has also imposed a prompt corrective action on the banks. So
everything happens on lender side.
Yes, sir.
But on the borrower side also something had to be done.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. In case I am aware of this, in case of particular industries, sir. Like, yes, sir. I am sorry, that slipped out of my mind.
IBC code is.
Yes, sir.
I have to.
IBC
from that
code
side.
to. Yes, sir. To break the deadlock, we've seen some work happening on that front also. SR Steel has been SR Steel is in the process of resolution. Bhushan Steel has been taken up. Electro Steel has been taken up by Vedanta. So that is the landmark movement with regard to corporate.
If they are not able to run the corporately, let somebody else
run it. So that is a landmark.
That is also attempt to break the deadlock from the other side.
Yes, sir.
But now there is a problem in this.
Yes, sir.
That the money that is coming as recapitalization for banks is basically taxpayers' money. And now the taxpayers' money is getting utilized to, I would say, offset what these corporates have actually swindled. Moral problems are there in this. How do you reconcile that?
So, as far as the recapitalization process is concerned, the government wanted to wanted first reformation, and then only did it pave way for recapitalization, sir. So, I think while there is a genuine moral hazard here, sir, these banks are also, at the end of the day, they hold depositors' money, and in one way or the other, the fallout on the economy would have been huge had recapitalization not taken place. So the government has gone in for a deep surgery, like some bankers say, and this situation though was avoidable, sir, but given the magnitude of the problem, sir, this was one of the ways in which the problem could have been solved.
We were discussing about that auditor, action against auditor, and auditor is supposed to, internal auditor is supposed to respond, report directly to CEO only, and if CEO has not done anything, auditor, is he helpless, or he has some other recourse also?
I'm sorry, sir, I don't know the exact provision of the Companies Act with respect to this. But, sir, if I may add here, sir, I think the audit program of the external or the statutory auditor is drawn with the help of the internal audit program, sir. So if certain red flags are raised here, then that could be included in the statutory audit report.
External statutory auditors, they are supposed to see
the internal audit report, sir.
But internal auditor has reported.
Yes.
Provided he has mentioned it in black and white in the report.
Yes, sir.
Rather than telling the CEO orally.
Yes, sir.
But they can also report it to associations.
Yes, I'm sorry, I don't know.
Chartered Accountants Association, who will appoint all these people.
Yes, sir.
You can report to them also.
Yes, sir.
That in spite of all, they are not complying.
Yes, sir.
So that is also there.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Priyank, what do you mean by writing as such? Writing in Indian context?
Sir, when a crowd goes out of control, sir, and it is threatening to general law and order, then it's a riot, sir.
True. Now, we have religious riots, we have communal riots. Is there any difference between the two?
I'm sorry, sir, I do not know the exact difference between these two, sir.
Okay, tell me an example of communal riots, and how many people are convicted? What is the ratio of conviction? Say, we are about, say, 2,000 riots, say, in 3-4 years, right?
Yes.
Both small and big. Now, do we have a record of how many people have been convicted and how many people were let go because of no evidences?
Yes, sir. Sir, we've got several examples of communal riots, starting from 1984 Sikh riots to Goza riots, and recently one in Muzaffarnagar. Also, recently, certain rioters, the exact riots I am forgetting, sir, but I have read about it, they were let off due to lack of evidence. So the conviction rates in riot cases is really less. I'm sorry, I'm afraid that I don't know the exact numbers, but the conviction in these riots is genuinely low. And recently also, a judge had to leave out certain rioters just because he had no evidence on them. So that is indeed a problem.
In case if you are in the civil services, what will you do to, rectify this?
So firstly, if I'm posted, I'll try to put in some preventive measures that these riots don't happen in the first place. Like there are certain peace committees in every locality that should be institutionalized. Regular meetings of that take place. Then the police and the civil administration, they organize community festivals from time to time, like secular festivals of 26th January, 15th August. These are celebrated by the entire community. So these are some of the preventive measures I will put into place, sir. As far as reporting and investigation is concerned, sir, I will do it as per the procedure laid down, so that we have concrete numbers. I'm yet to learn the exact laws, but I will put in more effort on the prevention side so that these things don't happen in the first place.
Till date, we have had no conviction, no arrest of an agent provocateur. We have convicted a few who have been seen in doing violent activities or in arson looting, but no agent provocateur. Do you think that we should always, our IB, intelligence, should be able to get to the roots to find out who those agent provocateurs are?
Yes, sir. The law lays down that people behind that should be taken to task. But there has been some improvement on this front, sir. Recently, Sajjan Kumar was convicted in his role of the 1984 riots. The judiciary, the press is becoming more proactive, I would say. There has been some improvement on this front, sir.
Sajjan Kumar was not an agent provocateur, he was a man who was leading some of the guys for looting and arson. And of course, being a political activist that time, he was a MP, I presume, of the Outer Delhi. He had a role to play, which took about almost 30 years for him to be convicted. But what about those guys who were sitting very comfortably determined and monitoring and actually provocating the people to go in for riots?
I'm sorry, sir, I don't have any information about this. But as far as the law is concerned, it deals with both types of provocateurs, sir. One who are actually leading the mob on the ground, as well as people who are leading from behind the scenes, sir.
Who is more dangerous?
Sir, situationally, if we see, we cannot compare the amount of danger posed by both the people, because given the situation on ground, it is up to these field agents, ground agents to lead the mob, sir, and in a particular direction. At the same time, the masterminds are equally to be blamed, sir. So we cannot exactly explicitly point out the blame on any one side, sir. They both share equal blame, sir.
What is the causes of road rage in major metropolitan cities?
Sir, if I see, the one problem which I personally feel is because there are long traffic jams in metropolitan cities, and because these cities are also one of the most polluted in the world. So generally a person is mentally more in a fit always. He's a little irritated by the slow movement of traffic. So that is number one. And second, I would say there is a lack of awareness of proper laws as to how these differences or road accidents can be reconciled. Thirdly, the police, it takes time for it to come and diffuse the situation. So these are some of the problems, sir.
Road rage is, the tempers which shoot.
Yes, sir.
If somebody overtakes you, the guy is angry, furious. Why is that happening?
So, he said weather is genuinely a problem in Delhi, especially. Second, if we see, due to lack of information about what can be the best alternative, we are also agitated, sir. And finally, there is also lack of police action, which complicates matters, sir. So these are some of the reasons why we see frequent road rage incidents.
We have those GPRs, telling us which is the safest and the fastest route. They do tell us.
Yes, sir.
But we still go and we find traffic jams.
Yes, sir.
What is the problem?
So, Delhi has the most number of four-wheel vehicles in the entire world, sir. So, despite these traffic warnings by GPRS systems, even the Delhi police has institutionalized the traffic management system. Like 8 out 10 hours of the 24 hours, we see traffic jams in major roads. So, when the roads are constantly jammed, sir, there's constantly slow movement of traffic, and there's little recourse to alternate routes. So that is a major problem. Plus we see that if we try to switch to public transport, then there's the issue of last mile connectivity. Most of the metro stations, if a person tries to take a metro, then metro stations can be as far as 5 kilometers, 6 kilometers from their place of residence. So last mile connectivity is also a major problem in Delhi, sir. The bus routes, we had a BRT system, but that has failed to take off, sir. So public transport is one problem, and plus the increasing number of vehicles in Delhi further complicates the matters, and we do not have effective public transportation in Delhi, sir.
Coming to your brand, coming to your eating habits of the street.
Yes, sir.
You want to explore that?
Yes, sir.
You said what we are eating, we know what we are eating there, and if one is cautious, one can skirt those problems of unhygienic food. We eat, we know what we eat, or we just eat.
So some of the food places that are there in Delhi have survived for 70 years, 100 years, sir. And
what are those street food?
Street food, sir. So there's a kebab wala called Babu Bhai Kebab Wala in Chowdi Bazaar. He's sitting on the same spot for 70, 80 years now. Then we have Mohan Kurimal Kulfi in Chowdi Bazaar. That shop is there, existed for close to 100 years, sir.
Have you been there?
Yes, sir. I've been to both these places, sir.
It is a Chowdi Bazaar?
Kurimal Kulfi Wala is...
it's in Kucha Patira.
Yes, sir. It's near Chowdi Bazaar metro station, sir. Whereas Babu Bhai Kebab Wala is near Jama Masjid, gate number 1. So both these places, they have been there for so many years, sir. And if we see, most of the eatables are sold by evening. So they have they're doing brisk business. And had they not taken care of hygiene, then their customer base would have shifted elsewhere. And since that has not taken place, we can put in a fair bit of...
paid on it.
Yes, sir. We can.
That he's selling those seekh kebabs.
Yes, sir. Seekh kebabs as well as chicken tikka, sir.
And what are the seekh kebabs made of?
Sir, he says buff, sir. He's explicit in explaining his customers that it is buff.
And you're sure that it's not mixed with something else?
So,
that's what I'm asking you. You are not sure.
Yes, sir.
Because you are eating, but you do not know what you are eating.
Yes, sir.
That's true.
Yes, sir.
In which place they have been had, whether the buffalo was licensed or diseased, you never know. So actually we do not know.
Yes,
Do you agree with this or not?
Yes, sir. But what I feel is that the entire food business, like a lot of businesses, runs on trust, sir. Even if we see industries like Zomato, Swiggy, these startups are doing brisk business. And we order...
Their applications, they are not...
Yes, sir. They are applications. They source their food from certain vendors. And we are unaware of the vendors, how they are making food and all. There is a emerging concept of dark kitchens used by these businesses. So 4-5 of the vendors, they get together, take up a common kitchen, and then they start cooking. So despite that, we are judging on the basis of ratings. Like if someone is just 4.2, then we say that the food is safe. So same happens with street food also, sir. These people, they have genuine ratings. They have been rated on Zomato, on other apps, sir. So we can trust these ratings, if not ourselves, sir. So I personally feel that the entire food business runs on trust, and we'll have to at the end of the day put in a little faith if we take up such an exciting hobby, sir.
Okay, that's fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Priyank. Very interesting interaction we had with you. But try to speak a little slow. You are somewhat fast. And your English is very good. Articulation in English is also very good. Grammatically correct also. And my only advice to you is that don't. When is your interview?
22nd February.
22nd February. So you are how many mock interviews you have attended so far?
Sir, this was my third mock.
Third mock. Don't expose yourself much. This is my earnest advice to you. It's your discretion. So don't expose yourself much. Don't think that more the number of mock and barrier are the chances. No, it's not like that. Okay? Don't expose yourself. Read as much as possible. If you want one-to-one interaction, I am always available. You can register your request to them and they will call you. It's free. There is no, and you are living close by?
I stay in Lajpat Nagar, sir.
Achha. Then I accept you. But don't go to every Tom, Dick and Harry. Satisfy yourself. Verify whether the faculty of that institute is completed or not. There's so many 150 institutes exist in this area, so don't, because that will make you confused. Somebody will advise you something, another person, I will advise something else, and in the interview you will get confused. Your answers will not be focused. So my advice that you should not expose yourself much. 1 is okay. But you need more counseling. Discussion, personal, one-to-one interaction. You can have it here or wherever you like. So that will be of great help to you. And you know the difference between commercial banks and cooperative banks? If you don't know, then read about it. Commercial banks and what is the difference? Cooperative banks are they are not governed by RBI. They are on a very small scale. So whether it will be advisable to, and they are all community wise and all. So the difference you should know. And I think they are governed under Societies Registration Act. Societies Registration Act governs the cooperative banks, not RBI. So RBI regulations don't. ठीक है, तो थोड़ा जितना पढ़ सकते हैं कॉमर्स के बारे में पढ़ लीजिए. ठीक है, आपका वैसे तो सब अच्छा है, नॉलेज बहुत अच्छी है, तो लिटरेचर तो बहुत अच्छा है. Priyank, you have very good knowledge. I think since you have a commerce background, you have also taken commerce as your optional. You can expect many questions on finance, like budget, monetary policy, economic policy. You can expect lots of questions on that side. So I was more focused on your financial management part when I was talking to you, but at the same time, other things are equally important, like the role of auditors is important. Then the current economic problems like this jobless growth, all that you have to be aware of. And you will be, I think, more interviewed on this aspect. And one more thing, that sometimes you try to close your eyes like this and when trying to remember. It happens with everybody that you have to remember, but that action should not be there. Just try to avoid that. It
gives a wrong kind of impression. Otherwise, fantastic. This is your first attempt?
Yes.
And I hope it will be the last attempt you should qualify.
Thank you, sir.
Priyanka, I'm very sure you have the qualities of becoming a civil servant, and I find you to be very confident, and you know how to handle the questions, and you are vocal, you are sensible, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir.